How you going, people? I haven't done a crazy cop story in a while. So I looked at my little list here and I'll do a couple here. I'll do one where I was kind of an asshole and one where I was a good guy. I'll do the asshole first. So, in prison, a lot of the, guys that we arrest and felons, people think cops think they're really bad and evil and, they're all pieces of shit. And I mean, maybe when you're young you think that it's good guy, it's bad guy, but as you've been around for a while you realize a lot of crooks, guys that are committing crimes, either fell in hard times, did something stupid, got in a situation with drugs or family or a friend or helping somebody out, and then they got caught up in some bad shit and they're in jail. So there's a lot of decent people in prison. Not everybody in prison is a jerk. Now if they're in prison, they got a rap sheet of 20, 30, 40, 50 arrests, and they've been in prison 3 times before, then I'm moving more to this guy's probably a piece of shit. But I've even met some long-term prisoners who are actually pretty nice guys when you talk to them. And I remember this one in the academy, they brought in this heroin dude who was a heroin addict, and he used to rob banks, and he went to jail 7 different times for bank robbery. So you're thinking 7 times, man, this guy's he's not real good at his job. He ought to pick a different profession if you've been caught 7 times. Man, he said he robbed so many freaking places he got away with. So he's out of prison, of course, because we have revolving doors. Done all these robberies and everything, and he goes, does his time, gets out. And he's a short, little old black guy, man, just a nice guy. And he comes in, he's talking to us, and he's talking about how crooks, and he's like, I've been asked over the years, what kind of planning, and did I get a diagram of the building, and did I write down the security? Because, I'm a professional bank guy. I've robbed, I don't know how many he said, 50 banks. He got caught 7 times, whatever. So he's like, they asked me what kind of planning I did. And he goes, was it the cameras? Was it the dirt schedule? How long did I watch it? Was it 2 or 3 days? He goes, man, my planning was I'd walk up to the window and go, okay, I'm going in. And that was the extent of his planning. And he only got caught 7 times out of 50 or whatever. So, but anyway, going back to crooks, and he was a heroin addict, and he needed the money to support his heroin, so he would rob banks to get cash to go do his heroin. So anyway, so not all crooks are bad, but in a crook community, or in the jail community, or the felon, or when people are locked up, there's a little bit of a code. Not much. I mean, they'll rat you out if it'll save their ass and all, and they say they don't snitch, and you don't want to be a snitch and all that. But, normally, in most life situations, if it's you or me, it's going to be you. But one of the codes is, kind of stand true, is most cons don't like child molesters. They kind of take it kind of personal, they kind of think it's kind of bullshit, they think this guy's low. I mean, again, just because they're con doesn't mean they don't have any morals. They may treat their women good, they may care about their kids, they may try to raise their kids right, they may want to have kids be better than them, so they have morals, they just commit crimes and get caught. So, for cops, if we've got a I know people are going to give me shit about this, but it happens pretty regularly. And I've done it, I think, once or twice. I remember one specifically, but I may have done it twice. So, if you book a guy in for child molestation or molesting a child, a lot of times, if it's known, they'll put him in protective custody because they know the other person is going to beat him up. Well, if you got a guy, and I know the guy I had, he had some good intel on a shooting, he was at a shooting, he wouldn't give up the guys that were there, somebody was dying, and so I was like, all right, you piece of shit, you don't want to help, you want to do all this, screw you. I'm going to put your ass in there, when I put you in, I'm going to tell everybody you're a freaking child molester, how you like that? Oh man, that's fucked up, you can't do that, that's wrong! And again, in my cop mode, I know people can't understand this because you aren't there, I'm thinking, I'm going after bad, I'm fighting evil, I'm doing good. And my means to get there kind of justify the ends. I know it shouldn't, I know it's wrong, and unfortunately that's what power does. People who have never had power that can't understand that, they don't get it. But when you get power, it gives you the ability. I mean, look on the internet. These people have power to come on there and make comments, or to block people, or only let people, stay that they like, or never let anybody talk bad, or only, promote hate. And if you try to go there with a voice of reason, they're going to say, get out of here and beat you up. So power is very, very, it's just easy to abuse. It just creates, especially if you're in power and you're not challenged and you have no repercussions. Remember, power without responsibility is just a recipe for disaster. So, and cops usually have some checks and balances, but on this case, cops do this quite a bit. So I go book the guy in there, he's still being a jerk, he won't give me a question, he's kind of like, fuck you, go catch him yourself, motherfucker, he's motherfucking me all this. So like, okay. So I tell the deputy at the jail, and I was booking him in a second, I go, man, I'll put him in that cell. So that when you first get in, sometimes they put you in this big holding cell, unless there's an issue. If you're, if you're known as a gang member and you're in this and we're not, then they won't put, sometimes they'll put you in the opposite gang just if you're a dirt. Oh, you know what? You're a crip, you don't want to be in with Bloods, you keep talking shit, I'm going to accidentally put you in with Bloods. And then they're going to kick your ass, and then I'll come get you out. But you're still going to get the ass whooping. So, again, you have to have some power, because I refer to the old Bob Dylan song a lot. When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. So when guys are facing jail time and they figure their life's over and they don't have nothing to lose, they could give a shit about law and order, what cops say, following the rules. What are you going to do to me? Put me in freaking jail? Screw you. So, but when you get that, when you're dealing with that mentality, you come up with creative ways on what you can control. Whether it's food, whether it's mail, whether it's lockdown in solitaire, whether it's threatening to put you in with somebody who's going to beat your ass. So you come up with these alternative measures, and it happens. Look, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying if I ran the world it'd be done that way. I'm just telling you that's what happens. So I'm putting this guy in a cell. I'll put him in a cell. So I put him in there. I go, dude, I told you to stop molesting children. I said, we got you this time, and I shut the door. And I just saw there were about 15, 20 dudes in there. All of them were like, what? What? And they just had that look on their face like, oh yeah, this motherfucker gonna... And he's like, man, and he starts going into his street mode. Yo, man, that fucking cop's lying. He's just trying to give me the... Man, I didn't... And I was like, have a nice night, and I left. So, did he get beat up? You know what? I don't even know. I left. Did they teach him a lesson? Did he convince them that I was being a dick? I don't know. The problem with the criminal world is when you're doing shit and a cop sets you up, kind of like if I got a guy who's been informing or gives me bad intel or he's jerking me around, then maybe I'll drive through the hood when I'm booking him to jail and let him see me in there, and we'll be smiling, laughing, and talking. And he'll be like in the back, say, yo man, don't smile. Yo man, they're going to think I'm talking to you. Yo, you're going to get me killed. But you know what? It helps get his cooperation. I know it's bootleg cop mentality, but again, I'm trying to catch bad guys, and you people want to act like the people I'm doing this to are regular hard-working citizens out there trying to make a living. I'm not doing it to these people. And it's still probably wrong, but again, you got to weigh the scales on just fine. So that's the bad side when I was a jerk. Here's when I'm a good side. Here's when I'm a good cop. I'm playing good cop, bad cop. So in California, you can only cite and release on a misdemeanor. And in California, there's 3 types of crimes. There's infraction, misdemeanor, and felony. So an infraction is only punishable by a ticket and a fine. So you can't go to jail if you commit a crime that's classified as an infraction. A misdemeanor, you can only go to fine or county jail for a year. You can't go to prison for a misdemeanor. A felony, you can go to state prison, you can be fined, or you can go to county jail and state prison. So those are the 3 classifications of crimes. Well, if I arrest you for a misdemeanor, because now with liberals spending all the money and all these programs, they never have enough money, they're charging, the sheriff's department charge agencies to book people. So depending on your PD, they don't want you booking somebody because I got to pay $200 a booking fee for everybody I arrest. So cops are like, and administrators who are trying to balance the budget are saying, hey man, don't be arresting people for chicken shit stuff. So crime goes up, criminals figure out you can't get arrested for this shit, and they go out of control. And then you go my other video about Oakland, California, and you get in that situation. Just through liberal policies, typical We need more money to fix the problems that we create, to create more policies and more government so we can create more problems and get more money to fix the problems that we're creating. It's a never-ending cycle. Liberals don't get it, but that's the way it is. So, I can't give somebody a ticket, it's called a cite and release, on a felony. So if I arrest you and you commit a misdemeanor, and I can book you in jail, and I know the jail's full, I know they're going to cite out all nonviolent people, they're going to give you a ticket, unless you're being a real jerk and I just want to give out some street justice, go, you know what, you're going to go through the process, you're going to waste your time, you're going to have to get a ride from the jail, I'm going to book your ass because you're being a jerk, and I'll let them give you a ticket and cite you out. Or, I can cite him out on the spot. Say, look, dude, I don't need to put you in jail. You seem like a decent guy. Look, I'm going to give you a promise to appear, sign the ticket. You'll get a court date. Here's your mail. Here's your shit. And we move on. And he doesn't go to jail. So that's officer discretion on whether I want to book on a misdemeanor. And most nonviolent misdemeanors fall in that category. Hell, I said some agencies, we'd hook you up for DUI, drunk driving. They would give you a ticket. And that was a policy. We're not going to pay a $200 booking fee when they're only going to hold him for 4 hours till he sobers up and then give him a ticket to release him, and now we got to pay our fee. So what do? The agencies start going, you know, let's bring him back, let's hold him, let's call somebody who's responsible, we'll have some form saying they're responsible for him, and then we'll just give him a ticket, and that way we don't have to pay a booking fee. It all comes down to money. So, I can do that on misdemeanors. You cannot do that on a felony. A felony is a shall take, a must take. You have to book them in jail for a felony warrant. So I can't remember what this girl did or how I got her, but she was connected to some knucklehead in the crack house, wherever the hell we were at doing something, and I ended up running her or something. She has a felony warrant. And I mean, she's really pregnant. You know, you can't be a little bit pregnant, either pregnant or not. Well, she was really pregnant. Like, she was going to have her baby soon. I mean, she was poking and kind of walking, and hell, who knows? She probably had crank shoved up her crotch. I don't know. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to book this woman, bring her to the jail, risk some freaking lawsuit because I hurt her, put her hands behind her back, take her in her car, search her, risk some complaint on some bullshit that I tried to grab her baby's finger or some shit. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to cite and release her. And I asked the other cops, they were like, hey man, that's a felony. You can't cite and release. You got to take her. And I'm like, dude, I ain't booking her. It's not worth it. It doesn't make sense. I said, she got a freaking felony warrant. I said, she's out now with a felony warrant. What difference does it make if I give her a ticket and she's out more? I said, just make the case stronger next time we catch her that she didn't show up when I let her go. No, man, you got to book her. That's a felony. I'm like, I ain't booking her. I'm giving her a freaking ticket. You can't do that. Why can't I? Well, you just can't do that. I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. So instead of booking her, making her get searched, go through the process, probably have the baby in the hospital, forced labor, stress her out, maybe hurt the kid, it's just a stupid policy. But when you get caught up in government sometimes, they don't want you thinking a whole bunch. They're like, we got rules and policy and regulations. Now luckily, I had a decent boss at the time. I had the older DA who had been around for 30 years, and he had common sense, and he was like, that sounds reasonable. I mean, you're not supposed to do it, but you did it. It's not the end of the world. I'm not worried about it. But he could have, if I worked for a different agency that was very anal and went, you broke policy, you went out, suppose she killed somebody, blah, blah, you should have booked her. You should have took her to jail. And I'm like, whatever. So I ended up giving her a ticket. She was all appreciative. She didn't want to go to jail being pregnant. I didn't want to stress her out. I gave her a ticket with a promise to appear. Did she appear? I don't know. Do I care? Hell no. I don't care. Like I said, she's already out. And she's got a felony warrant, and she's pregnant, and she's going to have a kid, and it's going to be on welfare, and we're going to know where the check's sent to, so if we really want to find her later, we're going to find her. I mean, you know, even if she has a kid, she may end up in the hospital, drug overdose before she has a kid. But I made the decision. Was it the right decision? According to policy, rules, laws, regulations, everything, it was wrong. I don't know of any other cop that's ever cited on a felony. I'm sure there's a few out there that are kind of like, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. But, you know, I'm what, and again, some people will say, that's good that you're like that, but most departments and most bosses don't like people like that. I mean, you're not going to move up or advance when you're out there making common sense decisions and you're not following the rules. We can't depend on you, Rick, to follow the rules. Walk between the lines. Just do what you're told. We can't depend on you. You're out of control. You're freaking from Texas and you're a cowboy. We gotta pull in the reins on you. Whatever. So, there you go. One I was a good guy, one I was a bad guy. Shit happens. We'll end that there.